Hello and welcome to today's episode of The Drawing Board. My name is David Franklin. I'm your host. Thank you so much for tuning in. And a couple days ago, I was talking about my top video, Psychopaths versus Sociopaths, getting 250,000 views. And that was really special, and I want to thank everyone who watches the show. Thank you for making that happen, and I really appreciate that. So, in order to celebrate, I did a video on a psychopath test, which is sort of a thought experiment that just kind of sees if you may or may not be, it's not foolproof, if you may or may not be a psychopath. And I really want to get back to the Myers-Briggs thing, but people really seem to like that. So I'm going to listen to a couple requests for some more psychopath stuff. But today I'm actually going to be talking about something that's related to psychopathy, but is not actually psychopathy, which is narcissism and narcissistic personality disorder. Now, a lot of us have some, pardon me, I have a bad neck. So a lot of us have an idea of what narcissism is, and it's kind of akin to the Greek story about Narcissus. Narcissus is a great hunter who is so beautiful, that he's left like a string of people who want him really badly and are heartbroken, and some who have committed suicide, and some people who he's literally told to kill themselves, and they have, because he cares so little about them that whatever, just go kill yourself, I'm so great, whatever. Well, Narcissus is out on a hunting expedition, and while he's also great looking, he's also a great hunter, great musician, all these things. But he stumbles across a lake, and he's never seen himself before. Looks into the lake and sees himself looking back at him, and he falls in love. He thinks this person is the coolest, the best looking, the most interesting, the most intelligent, the most athletic, incredible person there is, falls in love, and gets so close to the lake that he drowns. And that's in one version of the story. There's other versions where he just wastes away and starves to death and whatever. But the point is that the narcissist dies because he thinks so highly of himself. And that's a lot of what we think about narcissists, with a T, about narcissists, that they just think really highly of themselves. And while that's true, it's also usually coupled with, at least in the narcissistic personality disorder, not just a narcissist, but the personality disorder is usually coupled with someone having an extremely weak ego. And I like to think of it, if a normal person is a Toyota Prius, and we can go a really long time on just a little compliment and a little bit of self-confidence, brush off the shoulder, we can go for a long time. Whereas a narcissist is sort of like a Hummer. They need a lot of fuel and they burn through it quickly. And they can run out of fuel much more quickly because they have an extremely weak confidence that they need lots and lots of fuel to keep going. They need to keep going. So a lot of these insecurities, we don't exactly know where they come from. They could be from a parent who panders someone their entire life, gives them everything, they tell them that they're always right, that it's never their fault when anything goes wrong, and that person kind of continues on that thought process into adulthood. Or it could be from a parent that makes them feel so extremely bad about themselves that they have this underlying lack of confidence, and they need people to keep throwing stuff at them to make sure that they're okay. And I think a lot of time we don't associate that duality there with narcissists. We just think, oh, they think a lot about themselves. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not, but they just think really well about themselves. We don't usually couple that with, wow, they think a lot about themselves, because ultimately, secretly, they feel really crappy about who they are, what they're capable of, etc. So that's a quick baseline for it. But I've talked a little bit about the DSM-5 a couple of times on the show, and the DSM-5, here's the thing. A lot of psychologists disagree on a lot of different things. And that's because while psychology is becoming more and more of a hard science, a lot of it is still kind of subjective and interpretive. Well, the DSM-5 is published by the American Psychiatric Association, and it's a diagnostic and statistical manual for identifying mental disorders. And this is the 5th installment. They change things and revise things and add things, and they're different versions. I have a list here of the different things the DSM-5 says are criteria for your narcissistic personality disorder, and that includes having an exaggerated sense of self-importance, which we all know. But further on, it's expecting to be recognized as superior even without achievements that warrant it. And depending on what viewers are watching this, we could say that was pretty much all millennials. Exaggerating your achievements and talents, being preoccupied with fantasies about success, power, brilliance, beauty, or the perfect mate. So it extends even past yourself, saying, you know what, not only am I so great, but I deserve someone who's incredible and just, you know, the absolute perfect. No one else can deserve someone that perfect except for me. Believing that you are superior and can only be understood or associate with people who are equally superior to you. I would argue this could extend to things like Ivy League schools or, you know, the Nazi Party, which is a really weird. I'm not calling people who go to Ivy League schools narcissists or even Nazis. Dear Lord, that's not what I'm saying, but just kind of an interesting association there. Talking about associating with people who you consider to be on your level, you know. Requiring constant admiration, having a sense of entitlement, expecting special favors, and unquestioning compliance with your expectations. I have a friend who kind of fits this narcissistic personality disorder. He also has a bipolar disorder. And we got talking the other day about if I would lie for him or really anyone else in court. And I said, well, maybe in a sort of, you know, Nazi court where I don't believe in the system and I think someone's going to be unfairly punished who I care about, yeah, I might lie on their behalf. But in America, at least at the moment, I trust the judicial system enough that I can't lie in court because I think that it is justice-based, and if I'm having to lie for you, there's probably something you did that at least makes people question if you deserve to face some sort of justice or not. So anyways, he was not very pleased about that, and that's because he thinks you should be unquestioningly loyal to him and his expectations. So I don't think he's diagnosed as having a narcissistic personality disorder. My God. But he does exhibit a lot of the traits. Taking advantage of others to get what you want, having an inability or unwillingness to recognize the needs and feelings of others. Because you're so caught up on yourself, you usually have very, very little empathy for other people really at all. That doesn't mean intellectually you can't understand what's going on. It just means that honestly you don't give a crap about anyone else. Because I'm so special, you know, go kill yourself. You think I'm so beautiful, I'm so talented, you shouldn't be hitting on me. Whatever. Who are you to like me? Peasant, go kill yourself. And they actually do, and that doesn't make you feel bad because it's all about you. Complete and utter lack of empathy, or at least a real warped sense of empathy and a real lack of empathy. Two more. Being envious of others and believing that others envy you, which is where that duality comes back into play. You ultimately actually have a very weak ego, and so you envy a lot of other people for the things that they have that you don't. But at the same time, you also think that you're so great, and everyone must envy you for all the things that you have. And finally, behaving in an arrogant or haughty manner, which again is a kind of monocle and smoking a cigar, whatever. Twirl my wine by the wine stem, not like this. You'll warm up the wine, whatever. That's my impression of a haughty person. But anyways, narcissistic personality disorder and psychopathy sort of behave in a Venn diagram type way. You can be a psychopath without being a narcissist, and you can be a narcissist without being a psychopath. But there are so many traits like a lack of empathy, and that's really one of the biggest ones. But sometimes, you know, an inflated idea that you are important and morality and rules really don't apply to you. All of those are sort of traits that can fit into both psychopathy and narcissistic personality disorder. So anyways, I just thought it'd be interesting to share something along the same lines as psychopathy and sociopaths, but not exactly quite the same. So if you like this, I can travel down more mental disorders, but I don't think narcissistic personality disorder may be quite as sexy as the psychopath or the OCD or anything like that. So anyways, let me know what you thought, and check in a couple days. We're going to be talking about, I'm literally going to do the episode right afterwards in the same shirt, so don't judge me. We're going to talk about some famous stories about real-life psychopaths and the horrible, horrible things that they do. They aren't always completely emotionless. They just have a very, very warped sense of emotion. So anyways, check back, and we'll see you in a couple days. Thanks, guys.